So all this talk about war, we talk about the geopolitical space in other countries and how the mainstream or the legacy media will say that they make the accusation that these other countries are not free, and oftentimes that is correct. A country like Iran or China are certainly not free countries. Russia is certainly not a free country. And certainly the European countries are also not free countries, by the way, too. They leave that part of it out. But the answer is not warfare. Warfare benefits the elite, the people who sell the weapons. There are people that also benefit, whether they're invested in the biolabs in Ukraine or they're invested in oil, where they're able to open the country up to do business right there. Or if you're invested in the US dollar, these are people that are advocates for war, but that's not the most effective way to deal with differences geopolitically. The most effective thing that you can do, and what has worked in the past with the United States, we've had a long history of this, is just being a successful and free country. The United States, as a successful and free country, eliminated a lot of the problems around the world without shooting anybody, okay? Other countries that saw the United States desired an American, adjacent system. And you see this around the world. It still occurs a little bit, but that's waned quite a bit. And why? Well, because the United States is less free than it used to be, and because of the United States using warfare against all these other countries and using the practice of warfare against these countries, and that's turned it soured the relationship. But that's the key. That is, now I'm not saying wars are going to be impossible. I mean, there's still, things could happen. There could be misunderstandings, disagreements over resources, populations, or whatever. But the most effective way to promote freedom is by example. And like I said, that's what the United States has done for many decades. From World War II up until the 1990s, up until 9/11, it did this very successfully. It did it quite successfully before the World Wars too, by the way, in the 1800s. But the world is a freer place because of the United States, not because of its military, but because that it leads by example, and then people around the world can see that and want to emulate that. So keep that in mind. You can't change people by force very effectively, but you can give them an alternative and then let them decide for themselves, and that in the long run works, is effective.